piece was made in Campbellsville. They copied a dry sink, and I had to make it because I had a record player. I had the turntable in here. It was like that. That's a false drawer, and down in the doors were the speakers and my records. But that's a heavy piece. They make everything out of solid wood over there. And this corner cupboard, before we married, I had seen a picture of one like it, and it was painted jade green, like that. And then I painted a little design up there, but that's one of the first things I did when we married, was to paint this. Dad had a carpenter in Stamping Ground in Scott County build it for us. And it's had several coats of paint. Every time I changed the wallpaper, I changed but it holds a good deal. And when we first moved to the farm south of town, I belonged to the homemakers, and Bob was, I guess he was maybe eight years old when we had lessons on the kitchens. So we learned what to do with apple boxes and cheese boxes, and Bob was trying his skills. He made more little gadgets that you, shelves that you could put in there to put your cups and saucers and just extend your someplace. I don't know where, but it's poplar. It isn't a pretty wood. It's kind of a greenish poplar. So I painted that, and washstand table that is poplar, but it's a yellow poplar. And I've forgotten where that was picked up. And over here is a wicker chair that, I don't know, maybe Mom and Papa got these two chairs when they married. But this one was in the hall at Mama's. And I can see her now sitting in this chair listening to the Saturday afternoon opera on the radio. And above here are all of my daughters-in-law in there. Well, Mary Ann doesn't have a wedding dress on, but the other three do. And this little princess dresser was in the girls' room at home. There were Tanty and Lucille, and my part of the girls' room was a little alcove, just big enough for a twin bed. But this is, this and the chiffonier are mahogany veneer, all crazed, and I thought, well, for a girl's room it would look nicer painted. And this is a little rocker that, I think this was Ella Mae's favorite of all the chairs. All girls used to have a hope chest too. And Mama was real good when I was fixing to marry. She supplied me with all the bedding that we would need. And we had so many books, we didn't know what to do with them, so we had the bookshelves built over the mantel. And picture was in the girls' room, and when I was little, I used to think that was the prettiest thing. And when we were dividing things or going through things at Grandma's after her death, that picture was missing. And they had put it up in the linen closet, and someplace along the line they had given it to Laura, a colored woman who used to work for us. And I was visiting Laura one day and took her some green beans, and there was that picture behind her stove on the mantel. So I bought it back from her and had it redone. But it's had little postcards, Harrison Fisher's postcards. It shows the proposal and the trousseau and the wedding and the honeymoon and the first evening in their new home and then their first love, baby. But I always, that was a favorite of mine. The twin beds were made at Campbellsville, and these two little straight chairs I had picked up at an antique place, they're maple. And this is a Campbellsville table, and Ray Harm prints on each side. An oriental that was in Grandma's living room, and I had no place for it in my living room. It didn't fit very well, so brought it up here. And the colors are real pretty, I think. Tante had picked up for me when we were living in Georgetown, and has an OG drawer, and it's an Empire piece in mahogany veneer. And the little mirror above, Louise and Fred Warfield gave it to us when we married.
Is it an OG?
It's an OG mirror. Here's a big piano stool that used to be in the parlor at Grandma's. The piano I picked up in Georgetown from a colored woman who worked for, and well, you could use it just as a table. Now sometimes this acts, now it has like pigeonholes. This little maple chair I picked up at an antique place in Georgetown. And the key. I'll find it later. This picture, I don't know that it's a Godey print, but it's that type and from that period. But it was in the back of a trunk, or the lid of the trunk in Ella Butler, the colored woman, where I got this desk. And she let me take it out. And for years I kept it, protected it, and didn't have it framed until just a few years ago. But it has a tear in it, but the tear doesn't show too much. Right when we married. There's another one downstairs. The vase is made at the Rookwood Pottery in Cincinnati, and I suppose it's a collector's item now because they're no longer in business. Skill art. I've never been there, but I've been told that they have a lot of the, I believe there's a fountain there that they made. But wedding gift. Captain Bob gave it to us when we married.
And it's a Rookwood.
And it's a Rookwood. And that little watercolor was my first landscape watercolor. Furniture in here is mahogany. This is what Dad and I bought when we first married. And we had the bed and the dresser and the chest. And little buttons. Auntie had bought at an antique place. And,
Do you want to show your pictures on the wall there of you and Mr. Wade?
these pictures, the frames had come from Cousin Ida and Cousin Hulda's. And when they moved from Market Street out to their nice apartment, they couldn't take everything with them. So they sold some of the things, and I bought these frames from them. And for years and years they were on the closet shelf, and finally I decided, well, they're too pretty to leave on the shelf. So I put pictures in them that of Dad and me when, just before we married, we each had a picture made. So he was living in Georgetown then, and about 6 months before we married. So we thought we had to have a picture of each other. And that's the story there. And this old Elmate, to get this plunder off. Grandma Wade had given us some money when we married, so we bought this Coxwell chair. This isn't the original cover on it. It's had slip covers, and this is the third cover it's had. But that suited Dad fine because he would had a way of reclining in a chair, like most of our men. Photographs were made in Georgetown by Mr. Bradley, and when Dad had his picture that you've just seen over there made in Lexington, he thought he was going to the best photographer because it was a bigger place than Georgetown, and afterward he learned that people from Lexington came to Georgetown to have their pictures made at Mr. Bradley's. And these pictures of Mama and Papa were made, I guess, in 1929. And this picture of our three children, Camel, Bob, and Khaki, were made at Mr. Bradley's. Camel was 9, and Bob was 6, and Khaki was just a toddler. Called the playroom because the children's toys are in here, and the grandchildren. I still have a lot of the things in the closet there. I'm afraid to open the door. They might fall out. But even now when some of the grandchildren are home, they enjoy playing up here. This is a washstand that was at Grandma and Papa's, and this was in their room, and the walnut furniture was in their spare room. And of course this mirror was on an easel. Whatever became of the easel, I don't know. But, and when I had it refinished, the man took the beading from around here, and it's never looked the same to me without that beading.
Still pretty though.
Was made by my grandmother's brother. He came to visit them and needed a place to sleep, so he made a bed. Walnut back then must have been very plentiful because there were several pieces that he made out of walnut. And this is I had thought for many years it was a walnut table, and when I attempted to refinish it myself, found out it was oak. But that was in the parlor at Grandma's, at my mother's. The little table and chair pieces that Tanty, Elizabeth, and Lucille, my sisters, had when they were in kindergarten. And Miss Mary Helm, who lived what we know now as Horace Bird's place, had a kindergarten, and each child was supposed to furnish their table and their chair. And Lucille had a chair just like this, and I don't know what became of that, but that's been in use for many years. Rocker was in my grandmother's kitchen. There were 2 straight chairs in this rocker. And this basket was made by the Amish people. Thelma and Bob gave me that one at Christmas. It's a beautiful basket. This isn't so pretty, but it's an antique. It's been around a while. And this, they call a barber chair. And that came, I got this at the sale, the Hoskinson sale. Mrs. Hoskinson was the daughter of the Elijah Smiths, where Bob and El May bought their farm and old, beautiful old home. And my grandchildren didn't like to sit in it very much because that looks like binder twine. It would stick their bare legs. And this is used to have the toys, hold the toys for the Campbell and Bob when they were little. Our trunk that Grandma, I suppose, had when she married, and the dresses that they wore then were so big you couldn't get them in a suitcase. You had to have a trunk.